22 maids, 3 months. None lasted more than 24 hours. Elise Bennett lasted 37 seconds before those same 4 boys, identical faces, matching blue shirts, synchronized chaos, stopped destroying the penthouse and wrapped themselves around her like she was the first person who'd ever truly seen them. Their father, Seok Jin Myung Lee, stood frozen in the doorway. His burgundy suit jacket hung open, revealing intricate tattoos carved across his bare chest. Dragons, phoenixes, symbols of power etched into bronze skin. His hand rested near the concealed gun at his hip. "No one has ever calmed them," he said, voice low and dangerous, like he was questioning reality itself. "No one." Elise met his gaze without flinching. Did anyone bother asking them why they're angry? That single question shattered everything he thought he knew about control, about strength, about what his sons needed. It also made Elise the most valuable and most vulnerable person in his deadly world. The fluorescent lights in Grady Memorial's emergency waiting room buzzed like angry wasps at 3:47 a.m. Elise Bennett sat with her spine pressed against the plastic chair, watching her 7-year-old daughter Amara sleep fitfully across 3 seats, wheezing with every breath. The inhaler had run out 2 days ago. The new prescription sat behind the pharmacy counter like a ransom note, $400 she didn't have. Elise's phone screen was cracked from when she dropped it rushing to catch the last bus after her second cleaning shift. Through the spider-webbed glass, she stared at the eviction notice email. 72 hours to vacate. 18-hour workdays across 3 different office buildings, scrubbing toilets and mopping floors until her knees screamed, and she was still $2,000 short. Marcus had made sure of that when he disappeared 6 months ago, taking their $8,000 in savings and every shred of trust Elise had left. Her thumb scrolled mindlessly through job postings she couldn't qualify for, apartments she couldn't afford, a future that looked like sleeping in her sister's basement if her sister even answered the phone. That's when she saw it. Private residence, Seoul, South Korea. Live-in childcare. $15,000 per month USD. Immediate start. Confidential employer. No photos. No details about the children. No address. Just a link that required a passport number to even apply. Elise looked at Amara's chest rising and falling in shallow movements. Looked at the prescription she couldn't fill. Looked at the eviction notice. At 3:47 a.m., with her daughter struggling to breathe and 72 hours until homelessness, desperation didn't feel like a choice. It felt like the only option left. She applied. 3 hours later, her phone rang. Video call. A Korean woman appeared on screen. Face stone cold, gray suit impeccable. "Ms. Bennett, I'm Mrs. Kang. You'll care for 4 6-year-old boys. 22 previous employees lasted less than 24 hours each. If you survive 1 week, salary triples. Can you start tomorrow?" Elise looked at her sleeping daughter. "I'll be on the plane tonight." Mrs. Kang's expression didn't change. "Bring your passport. If you believe black single mothers deserve a fighting chance, that struggling women aren't invisible, click the subscribe button right now and comment where you're watching from. Only people who ignore women fighting to survive won't hit that button." 14 hours in the air felt like drowning in slow motion. Elise held Amara's hand through turbulence and bad airplane food, watching Seoul appear through the window like a galaxy of lights she didn't understand. 1 suitcase between them. Amara's stuffed rabbit clutched tight. Everything they owned in the world. The black car waiting at Incheon Airport had tinted windows so dark Elise couldn't see the driver's face. He didn't speak, didn't help with luggage, just drove through streets that transformed from industrial to opulent in minutes. Gangnam. Even Elise recognized the name. Seoul's wealthiest district, where old money and new power built towers that scraped clouds. The penthouse building rose 47 floors, all glass and steel and cold beauty. Armed security at every entrance. Facial recognition scanners that made Elise's stomach clench. This wasn't a home. This was a fortress. Mrs. Kang met them in the marble lobby. Same gray suit from the video call, same expression that revealed nothing. "Your daughter will stay in staff quarters tonight. You begin immediately." Elise's grip tightened on Amara's shoulder. "I don't leave my daughter." "Then you're welcome to leave, Miss Bennett. The return flight departs in 3 hours. Mr. Lieb doesn't negotiate." Elise looked down at Amara's exhausted face, heard the slight wheeze still in her breathing, thought about the empty bank account and the eviction notice and the fact that they had nowhere to go back to. She stayed. She had no choice. Amara cried in the staff quarters, a tiny room with white walls and a single bed. "Mommy, I want to go home." Elise knelt, held her daughter's face between her hands. "Baby, I know, but we don't have a home anymore. We have to make a new one here." 6 a.m. came brutal and fast. Mrs. Kang led Elise through hallways that smelled like money and danger. "The boys are difficult," she said, voice flat with exhaustion. "They've sent maids to the hospital. Don't take it personally." The penthouse interior stole Elise's breath. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering sprawl. Modern Korean design, minimalist furniture, museum-quality art on walls, everything precise, expensive, and untouchable. Then she heard it. Crashing, shouting, the sound of synchronized destruction. 4 identical 6-year-old boys in matching blue shirts turned the luxury into chaos. Jay dragged permanent marker across white marble walls in angry streaks. Hyun hurled designer cushions off the 40th floor balcony, watching them fall like bombs. Min Jun rode the robot vacuum like a mechanical bull, crashing into furniture with wild laughter. Ta Young systematically pulled books off shelves, pages fluttering like wounded birds. "Boys, stop, now." Mrs. Kang's voice carried authority that went ignored. They didn't even glance at her. "We've tried everything," Mrs. Kang said, defeated. "Strict nannies, gentle nannies, behavioral specialists, child psychologists. Nothing works. They either quit or we fire them for hurting the children." Elise watched the chaos, saw the coordination beneath the destruction, saw 4 little boys screaming in the only language they had left. "Have you asked them why they're doing this?" Mrs. Kang stared at her. "They don't talk to adults. They haven't spoken to anyone except each other in 3 years." Elise walked toward the chaos without hesitation. No fear in her steps, just the quiet curiosity of someone who'd spent years reading children's unspoken languages. Jay saw her first, raised the black marker like a weapon, his small face twisted with defiance. "Go away." First words to an adult in 3 years. Elise crouched to his level, met his eyes straight on. Silence crashed through the penthouse. Hyun's arm froze mid-throw, cushion suspended. Min Jun's vacuum went quiet beneath him. Ta Young stopped pulling books, turned to stare. "I'm not here to punish you," Elise continued, voice steady and soft. "I'm here because I think you're angry about something, and I want to understand why." 4 pairs of identical dark eyes locked on her. Suspicious, testing, desperate for something they couldn't name. Jay's marker hand trembled. "You'll leave. Everyone leaves." Elise didn't look away. "I'm still here, aren't I?" Then Ta Young broke. The smallest of them moved first, dropping the books and running straight at Elise like she was the only safe harbor in a drowning world. He crashed into her chest, sobbing, tiny hands fisting her uniform. The other 3 froze, shock written across identical faces. Then something shattered in all of them at once. Hyun ran next, then Min Jun, then Jay, marker forgotten, walls forgotten, everything forgotten, except the need to be held. All 4 boys wrapped themselves around Elise like she was the only solid thing in a storm that had been raging for 3 years. 37 seconds since she'd spoken to them. Mrs. Kang stood speechless, hand pressed to her mouth. That's when the front door opened. Sek Jin Ming Lee entered his penthouse and stopped mid-step. Early 30s, devastatingly handsome in a way that felt dangerous. His burgundy suit jacket hung unbuttoned, revealing intricate tattoos carved across his bare chest. Dragons coiling around phoenixes, traditional Korean symbols of power and resurrection etched into bronze skin. Dark eyes that missed nothing, a presence that made the air itself feel heavier, harder to breathe. 4 sons who flinched from his touch were draped over a stranger. What is happening here? His voice was low, controlled, lethal in its calm. 4 small heads turned in unison. Appa! They didn't let go of Elise. Sek Jin's gaze traveled slowly across the destruction. Marker-stained walls, scattered cushions, overturned vacuum. Then landed on Elise. This black woman in a maid's uniform, holding his untouchable sons like she'd known them forever. "You're the new caregiver?" "Yes, sir. Elise Bennett." He stared at his sons clinging to her, then back at her face. "They're touching you?" "Seems that way." Long silence, the kind that stretches dangerous. No one has ever calmed them. No one. Elise met his gaze without shrinking, without apologizing for taking up space. Did anyone ever ask them what they needed? Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, defensiveness, curiosity, all at once. He looked at her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve, or a threat he couldn't categorize. If you believe children's pain deserves to be seen, not punished, click the subscribe button right now and share this video to a single mother. Comment "See the pain" if you're watching. The quadruplets refused to leave Elise's side for the rest of that first day. They shadowed her like ducklings imprinting on the first safe thing they'd ever known. Kitchen, laundry room, playroom, wherever she went, 4 identical boys followed in matching blue shirts. Jay handed her cleaning supplies with solemn precision, like he was performing a sacred ritual. Hyun asked questions in whisper-soft Korean that Elise couldn't understand, but Mrs. Kang translated from the doorway, surprise evident in her voice that he was speaking at all. Min Jun showed her every toy, every drawing, every broken thing he wanted her to fix. Taeyong simply held her hand, fingers wrapped tight like he was afraid she'd evaporate if he let go. Before dinner, Elise sat on the floor and told them a story she made up on the spot. 4 dragon brothers who protected their kingdom so fiercely they forgot how to be children, forgot how to play, how to rest, how to let anyone close. All 4 boys listened like she was giving them water after years in a desert. Mrs. Kang pulled Elise aside while the boys ate in rare silence. "You should know the truth about them." The story came out quiet and devastating. 3 years ago, home invasion while Sok-jin was at a business meeting. The boy's mother, Hana, home alone with 4 6-year-olds. Rival gang breaking through reinforced doors, sending a message written in blood. The quadruplets hiding in their bedroom closet, watching through the crack as men shot their mother in the living room. She died calling for Sok-jin to protect their sons. Security found the boys hours later, still in the closet, silent, holding each other. They haven't spoken to adults since, only to each other in whispers no one else could hear. 22 caregivers, all failed because they couldn't reach children who'd learned that loving adults meant watching them die. "They're not bad children," Mrs. Kang said, voice thick. "They're terrified children. They destroy things so adults will leave before they get attached, because attachment means loss." Elise's heart shattered. So all this chaos is armor, protection. If everyone leaves anyway, better to make them leave on your terms. That evening, Sok-jin found Elise in the hallway after the boys finally slept. He leaned against the wall, studying her like she was an equation that refused to balance. "Why haven't you quit?" Everyone quits. The violence, the silence, the constant testing, it breaks people. Elise met his gaze. "They don't scare me. They've hospitalized 3 nannies. They're not violent. They're heartbroken. There's a difference." Sok-jin stared at her, something unreadable flickering across his face. Surprise, maybe? Recognition. "You speak like you understand them. I understand what it's like to lose everything and have no one ask if you're okay." The silence stretched between them, heavy with truths neither of them knew how to name. In that moment, Seokjin looked at Elise, not like an employee, but like someone who'd just shown him a map to territory he thought was lost forever. Over the next week, Elise learned to read the penthouse like a language she'd never wanted to speak. Men in black suits stationed at every entrance, earpieces crackling with coded Korean, guns visible beneath tailored jackets. Entire floors off limits, reinforced doors that required fingerprint scans she didn't have. Surveillance cameras in every corner, watching everything, recording everyone. Late-night meetings in Seokjin's office, shouting in Korean that made the walls vibrate. Then, terrible silence. Then men leaving with blood on their clothes that wasn't theirs. She found cash in stacks hidden behind false panels while cleaning. Found a wall of weapons in a locked room she'd accidentally opened with the wrong key. Handguns, rifles, things she didn't have names for. Watched people bow when Seokjin walked through hallways, not respect in their eyes, but fear. Mrs. Kang caught her staring once. Don't ask questions about Mr. Lee's business, for your safety. That night, after the boys slept, Elise researched on her phone. Myung faction, Korean organized crime, Seokjin Myung Lee. Articles in Korean that she fed through translation apps, reading words that made her stomach turn. Heir to the Myung clan, ruthless enforcer, gang war escalates in Seoul's underworld. One article included a photo, Seokjin, younger, standing beside a man identified as his father. Former clan boss, assassinated 5 years ago in broad daylight outside a restaurant. Elise realized with cold clarity, she was living in the home of one of South Korea's most dangerous men, and she'd brought her daughter here. Sleep wouldn't come. At 2 a.m., she found Seokjin in the kitchen, alone, staring at a glass of whiskey he hadn't touched. "You're awake," he said without turning. Elise sat across from him. "I know what you are, what you do." Long silence. Then, "And you're still here. I don't have anywhere else to go, and your sons need me." He finally looked at her, eyes hollow in the dim light. "I don't know how to do this. Be a father. Their mother knew how to reach them. I just know how to provide, protect, destroy threats." His voice cracked. "I don't know how to be soft." Elise leaned forward, honest. "I'm held together by desperation and coffee. Most days I don't know if I'm doing anything right. But I keep going, because my daughter needs me. Your boys need you the same way. Not perfect, just present." Seokjin looked at her like she was the first person who'd ever spoken to him like he was human, not a weapon. "They flinch when I touch them," he whispered. "My own sons flinch. Because they watched their mother die because of your world. They're scared they'll lose you too, and they're angry you couldn't save her." He absorbed this like a physical blow. Then, footsteps, fast, urgent. One of Seokjin's men burst in, bleeding from his temple, speaking rapid Korean. Elise caught fragments from her studying. Choi clan, they know, the children. Seokjin's entire demeanor shifted, cold, lethal. He opened a drawer, pulled out a gun with practiced ease. Elise's blood turned to ice. He looked at her. "Take the boys to the panic room, now. Don't come out until I come for you." What's happening? War. If you believe mothers and children deserve safety, not violence, subscribe to this channel now. Only people who side with gang warfare over innocent lives won't hit that button.
The crisis passed without bloodshed that night, but Elise made her decision by morning. She brought Amara to live in the penthouse full-time. No more staff quarters, no more separation. If danger was coming, they'd face it together. Seokjin approved immediately. "She'll be safer here. I'll have men at her school." Amara stood in the massive living room, 7 years old and terrified, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "Mommy, who are these people?" Elise knelt, held her daughter's face. "Baby, this is our home now. These boys, they need us, and we need them too." The quadruplets met Amara at breakfast in awkward silence. 4 identical boys staring at one small black girl who stared back with equal uncertainty. Then, Jay, always first to break, offered Amara his favorite marker, the black one he'd used on the walls. Hyun showed her his robot vacuum, demonstrated how to ride it. Minjun asked in broken English, "You like dragons?" Taeyong, shyest of all, walked over and placed his stuffed bear in her hands without a word. By lunch, all 5 children were inseparable. Amara taught them English phrases, "That's cool," "No way," "You're silly," and they taught her Korean words, laughing when she mispronounced them. She became their bridge to the world, the sister they never had, the normal they'd forgotten existed. Elise watched them play and thought with sudden clarity, this is what family looks like. 3 days later, the breakthrough came violent and necessary. Hyun was playing in the boys' room, spinning too fast, and knocked over a glass case on the shelf. Inside was their mother's jade necklace, the only possession kept from before her death. It shattered against the hardwood floor. Hyun's scream was raw, animalistic, devastated. "I broke it! I broke Amma!" All 4 quadruplets collapsed. Not tantrums this time, griefed tsunamis that had been building for 3 years behind a dam that finally cracked. Jay sobbed into the floor. "I miss her. I miss her so much." Minjun's voice broke. "I don't remember her smell anymore." Taeyong whispered through tears, "I'm forgetting her face." Elise gathered all 4 into her lap, arms wide enough to hold their breaking. She let them sob, didn't try to stop it, didn't say, "It's okay," because it wasn't okay, and never would be. 40 minutes of crying, 3 years of unprocessed grief pouring out like blood from a wound that had festered too long. Sok Jin appeared in the doorway, saw his sons finally grieving, finally letting someone witness their pain. His hand went to his eyes. He turned, walked to his office, closed the door. Through the walls, Elise heard it. A grown man weeping for the first time in years, mourning the wife he couldn't save and the sons he didn't know how to reach. Black SUVs started following them the second week. Elise noticed the first time picking up Amara from the international school. Tinted windows, no plates, keeping 3 car lengths back. Then again at the market. Then outside the park where she'd taken all 5 children for fresh air. 3 times in 1 week. Sok Jin assigned armed security the next day. 2 men in dark suits shadowing them everywhere, earpieces visible, hands always near concealed weapons. Other parents at Amara's school complained about intimidating men lurking outside the gates. Elise called Sok Jin from the car, voice tight. "This isn't normal. What's happening?" His voice came through strained. "The Choi clan. They're making moves. They know about you. About the children." "Why target children?" Long pause. "Because the best way to destroy a man like me is to take away everything he loves." That word, loves. It hung in the air between them like something fragile and dangerous. Security tripled overnight. More cameras, reinforced windows that could stop bullets, guards stationed on every floor. Sok Jin rarely left the penthouse anymore. When he did, he returned with blood on his knuckles and eyes that looked haunted, hollowed out by things Elise didn't want to imagine. One night she found him standing in the boys' room, watching them sleep in the dim glow of a nightlight. 4 identical faces, peaceful in dreams they'd never remember. "I can't lose them," he whispered without turning. "I can't lose anyone else." Elise stood beside him. "Then let's make sure you don't." He looked at her, something raw in his expression. "Why do you care so much? They're not your sons. This isn't your war." Elise met his gaze without flinching. "They are my sons now, and you made it my war when you brought my daughter into it." Something shifted in his face. Respect, gratitude, something deeper he didn't have words for. "I'll protect all of you," he said. "I swear it. I know you will. But who protects you?" No one had ever asked him that. She could see it in the way he froze, the way his breath caught. Later that week, Elise overheard Mrs. Kang on the phone discussing exit strategies, relocation protocols, if the situation deteriorates. They were preparing to run. She called her sister in Atlanta that night, hands shaking. "If something happens to me, take care of Amara. There's a safety deposit box at—" "Elise, what the hell are you involved in?" "I can't explain. Just promise me." That night, Elise couldn't hide her fear. Sok Jin found her on the balcony, looking at Seoul's lights like they were answers she couldn't read. "You're thinking about leaving." She didn't deny it. "I'm thinking about Amara. If this gets worse, then stay here. Let me protect you both. Don't go back to America where I can't reach you. You're asking me to trust me with my daughter's life?" His voice broke slightly. "I'm asking you to let me do what I couldn't do for Hana."
Exhaustion made Elise careless. At 11 p.m., thinking all 5 children were asleep, she stood in the hallway on the phone with Mrs. Kang, voice low but not low enough. "I don't know if I can keep doing this. If they're targeting us, if Amara's in danger, maybe we should leave, go back to Atlanta. At least there we're not in the middle of a gang war." She didn't hear the small footsteps padding down the hall, didn't see 4 identical faces peer around the corner, eyes wide in the darkness. Then, a scream that shattered the night. "No!" Jay stood there, eyes wild, face red, betrayal written across every feature, like a language Elise had taught him to read. "You promised! You said you wouldn't leave!" Before Elise could respond, all 4 boys exploded. Worst meltdown in 3 years. Hyun grabbed a chair and hurled it at the window. Bulletproof glass, it bounced back, crashed to the floor. Min Jun ripped curtains down with savage strength, screaming incoherently in Korean. Taeyong collapsed, hyperventilating, pulling his hair in fistfuls. Jay's voice cracked with rage and terror. "You're leaving like everyone else! You lied!" This wasn't anger. This was terror made visible. They weren't destroying things for attention. They were trying to destroy the pain before it destroyed them. Elise tried to approach. "Boys, let me explain." "No! Go away! We hate you!" They meant, "We love you, and you're breaking our hearts." Then Amara ran into the room, 7 years old, tiny, fierce as any warrior. She planted herself in front of the quadruplets and screamed, "Stop!" Her voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "You don't understand. Miss Elise isn't leaving because she doesn't want you. She's scared. Bad people are following us. She's trying to protect me. She's trying to protect all of us." 4 boys stood frozen, chests heaving, tears streaming. Amara continued, voice steady. "My mom doesn't leave people, ever. When my dad left us, when we lost our house, when I got sick, she stayed. She's the only person who never leaves." She looked at Elise. "Right, Mommy?" Elise's throat was too tight to speak. "Right, baby." All 4 quadruplets stared at her, desperate, terrified, needing something only she could give. Taeyong, smallest voice. "Promise again?" Elise sank to the floor, opened her arms. All 4 boys crashed into her, sobbing like their hearts were breaking. "I promise, I'm not leaving. I'm scared, but I'm not leaving." They gripped her like she was the only thing keeping them alive. 3 years of abandonment, 3 years of loss, 3 years of being treated like problems instead of children, all pouring out in waves of grief. That's when Sok Jin entered. He'd been standing in the hallway, listening to everything. He saw his 4 sons collapsed into Elise, her arms around them, Amara tucked into her side, all 6 of them holding each other. His knees buckled. He didn't fall, but he lowered himself to the ground like a man in prayer. "Please," he said, voice breaking, "please don't leave them." Elise looked at him through tears. "I want to stay, but I can't watch my daughter die because you have enemies. Then let me end this. Give me 2 weeks. I'll finish the Choi clan. I'll end the war, and then we'll be safe. All of us." "You're talking about killing people?" "I'm talking about protecting my family." That word again, family.
Elise looked at 5 children holding her, at this dangerous man kneeling before her. 2 weeks, but the children don't leave this penthouse. No school, no parks, no exceptions.
11 days later, at 11:47 p.m., Elise was reading to the children in the living room. Seok-jin had been gone for 3 days, cleaning up, he'd said, before kissing each son's forehead and looking at Elise like he might never see her again. The penthouse was locked down, guards on every floor, panic room prepped and waiting. Jae sat on her lap, Hyun curled beside her, Minjun sprawled across her legs, Tae-young holding her hand, Amara tucked under her arm. All 5 listening to a story about brave knights and dragons who learned to be family. Then the lights flickered. Alarms screamed to life, piercing and urgent. Mrs. Kang's voice crackled over the intercom. Panic room, now! Elise didn't hesitate. She grabbed all 5 children and ran. Behind her, explosions, glass shattering, gunfire, sharp, rapid, too close, children screaming. The panic room had reinforced steel walls, no windows, supplies for 3 days. Elise shoved all 5 children inside. Jae's voice broke. "Where's Appa?" "He's coming, I promise." More gunfire, inside the penthouse now. Elise stood in the doorway, body between the children and whatever hell was coming down that hallway. She wouldn't close the door, wouldn't hide, wouldn't let anyone reach them without going through her first. Amara whimpered, "Mommy, I'm scared." "I know, baby, but I'm right here." Tae-young sobbed, "Don't let them kill you like Oma." Elise, fierce and certain, "I'm not going anywhere. Not one of you is dying tonight. I swear on everything I am." 4 minutes of hell. Automatic weapons fire, shouting in Korean, an explosion that shook the walls and made dust rain from the ceiling. Then, silence, worse than the noise. A voice through the intercom, unfamiliar, cold, speaking Korean. Mrs. Kang translated, voice terrified. "They're saying they want the children. If we send them out, they'll leave everyone else alive." Elise's response came without hesitation, "Over my dead body." She didn't move from the doorway. Footsteps approached. Children clung to her legs, her arms, each other. Elise spread her arms wide, human shield made of flesh and will. The door to the panic room hallway opened. Elise braced. Seok-jin stood there. Suit shredded, blood on his face that wasn't his, gun still in hand, eyes wild with something between rage and relief. Behind him, his men, the hallway littered with bodies. He saw Elise, this black woman he'd hired as a maid, standing in the doorway, arms spread wide, shielding 5 children with her body, trembling but unbroken. Something in his chest cracked open. "It's over," he said, voice raw. "They're all dead, every single one." Elise didn't move. "You're sure?" "I'm sure. I made certain." She finally stepped back, legs shaking. All 5 children rushed past her to Seok-jin. He dropped to his knees, gathered all 4 sons into his arms. First time he'd held them like this in 3 years. They clung to him, sobbing, "Appa, we thought you were dead." "Never, I'll never leave you." He looked up at Elise over their heads. She was holding Amara, both of them crying. His eyes said everything. Gratitude, awe, something deeper than either had words for. If you believe families deserve protection over violence, that mothers will fight to the death for their children, click the subscribe button right now. Comment, "Protect the family," if you stand against anyone who brings war to children's homes. Dawn light filtered through the curtains when Elise felt the bed dip. 4 small bodies crawled in beside her, moving with the practiced silence of boys who'd learned to be invisible. Jae, Hyun, Minjun, Tae-young, all 4 curled around her like she was the only warmth left in the world. Jae's voice came small and scared. "Are you leaving now? The bad men are gone." Hyun pressed closer. "We'll be perfect, we promise." Minjun's fingers twisted in her shirt. "We won't break anything ever again."
Taeyoung, smallest voice. Please don't go. Elise's heart shattered. They thought she'd only stayed because of danger, thought she'd leave now that the threat was over. Listen to me, all of you. She pulled them close, fierce and certain. I didn't stay because I was trapped. I stayed because I love you, all four of you. You're my sons now. Do you understand? Mine. Four identical faces stared up at her, hope dawning like sunrise. Really? Really. All four collapsed into her, not sobbing this time, laughing, relieved, whole. Amara appeared in the doorway, climbed onto the bed. Does this mean they're my brothers? If you want them to be, I do. Later that morning, Seokjin found Elise on the balcony. Seoul's skyline stretched before them, golden in morning light. I have something to ask you, he said. She turned. He held a folder of legal documents. I'm not offering you employment anymore. I'm offering you partnership. Legal guardianship of my sons, your name on the penthouse deed, permanent residency in South Korea, and, he paused, if you want it, my name beside yours, not as boss and employee, as equals. Elise stared. You're asking me to marry me, be their mother, be my partner, in everything. She should say no. He was a killer, a criminal, a dangerous man. But he was also a father who loved his sons, a man who kept his promises, someone who truly saw her. I have conditions, she said. Name them. I'm not your possession. I'm not arm candy. I'm not decoration. I'm your equal. In this house, in your business decisions that affect our children, in everything. You treat me with the same respect you demand. And the boys, they get therapy, real healing, not just survival. Seokjin stepped closer. You were never anything less than equal. From the moment you walked in here and asked my sons what they needed instead of how to control them, you became the most important person in this house. He took her hand. I don't want to own you. I want to build a life with you. You're the only person who's ever made me want to be better. Elise's eyes filled. I'm a broke black woman from Atlanta with a daughter who needs an inhaler and a history of bad choices. You're the woman who shielded 5 children with your body when killers came for them. You're the mother my sons needed when I didn't know how to be their father. You're the person who saw me, not the monster, not the boss, but the broken man underneath. You're everything. She kissed him, not because he was rich or powerful, because he was the first man who ever truly saw her worth. 6 months later, evening light painted the living room gold. Jae, Hyun, Minjun, and Taeyoung did homework in English and Korean. Amara taught them songs from her Atlanta school. All 5 wore matching pajamas, their choice. Seokjin sat on the couch, Elise tucked into his side. His hand rested on her growing belly, 7 months pregnant. You know what's funny? Elise whispered. What? I came here desperate, broke, out of options. I thought I was accepting a job, and instead, I found a family. I found home. I found myself. Seokjin kissed her forehead. 22 maids couldn't last 24 hours. You lasted 37 seconds before my sons loved you. And I lasted maybe a week before I knew I'd never let you go. Taeyoung looked up. Elise Uma, can we have ice cream? Uma, mother. All 4 boys called her that now. Elise smiled. After homework, nice try. Groans, but smiling. Amara, I'll help if you teach me more Korean. Deal. If you believe every child deserves someone who stays, that black women deserve to be seen and valued, that family is chosen, not just born, click the subscribe button right now. Comment "Love wins" if you watched until the end. This story isn't over, it's just beginning.